Hi, everyone. This is Matt with ESI Survival Guide. And now for the ESI 5 with the Data Diva herself, Debbie Reynolds. So Debbie, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So, number one, what movie do you think is most likely to become a reality in our lifetime? Terminator, Minority Report, Jurassic Park, Blade Runner, Mad Max, or any Nicolas Cage movie?
Well, before I start, I have to confess that when I was growing up, I lived in a very religious household and we didn't go to movies.
Okay.
So when I got to college, I was desperate to watch movies. So I minored in film. So I've seen things like Citizen Kane, but not Goonies too, So
I'm cool with that. I've seen both. They're both classics.
My film knowledge has some gaps there. So some of those movies I've never seen. But the one that no doubt, hands down, will be Minority Report. And I'll tell you why. So Steven Spielberg, when he made that movie, he actually had talked to futurists and technology people about what was being in the pipeline of developed. So he wanted the picture to have legs in the future, and it does. So a lot of things that are in Minority Report are things that have come true or are coming true because they were already in the minds of people to be developed.
That's awesome. I'm a huge trivia film buff, so that's awesome. That's one of the coolest things I've learned. It's almost like Gene Roddenberry too. You wonder if he knew about cell phones and certain things like that when he developed his tricorder and things like that. But all right, moving on. You have to wire some money in the next 30 minutes. There's no way you can get home. You don't have a cell phone. So you're at this intersection, and on each one of the four corners is a Starbucks, is a public library, an airport. It's a big intersection, and a public rest stop. Mm-hmm. So you got to get on public Wi-Fi. Which one do you go to and why?
Oh, good question. So it's a Starbucks, airport, rest stop, and what's the other?
Public library.
Public library. I would go to the public library, actually.
Okay.
Even though I'd probably end up on some NSA list or something because it's something I typed in. But yeah, I think that's probably best. The airport is probably the worst, I would say, especially because the airports aren't consistent with how they name their Wi-Fi. So then hackers, they try to name it similar. So you can sort of mistake one for the other is bad. So yeah.
Well, I literally just wired my mom some money last weekend from an airport. So mom, if you didn't get that, should have gone to the library.
Yes.
So number 3, what do you think is the most important invention in recent memory?
The most important invention in recent history, I would say the smartphone. Because a smartphone, I was going to say a computer, but a smartphone is a computer. It's just one that's in pocket. But it's created opportunities for people to do things that they weren't able to do before. And because of the small nature of them being so portable, it just made it so much easier. And I think there has to be, obviously, in my opinion, more smartphone adoption. So the majority of people who access the internet do so on mobile phones anyway. So I think there has to be more adoption. Obviously, places like the US, obviously we have a lot of adoption, but worldwide there are only about 45% of people who own smartphones. So when you think about COVID tracing apps, those only work on smartphones. So only 45% of people have smartphones. That means the majority of people aren't being able to utilize those technologies. So it has to become more widespread.
Definitely. Okay. It's a smartphone. Okay. That's definitely a solid answer. Number 4, I was going to ask you which Black Mirror episode scared you more. The selections were Nosedive, Hated in the Nation, or The Entire History of You, but the true answer is all of them. So instead, let me ask you a two-part practical question. First,
Okay.
what is your go-to tip for social media privacy?
I guess my go-to tip for social media privacy is choose the networks that you think will be most beneficial to you and not try to spread yourself so thin by having, all these different accounts, because if you're not nurturing those accounts, people can steal them from you, especially if they're dormant and you don't want them to sort of fill your narrative with things that aren't true about you or to create a vulnerability. So you want an account that's not something that's going to fall by the wayside, but something that you're really going to use. Does that answer your question?
It definitely does. Definitely does. Now, in light of that answer, in light of part one regarding social media privacy, we get to part two, which is another practical question. So number 4, part B, with that in mind, what is your ideal weapon during a zombie apocalypse?
Wow, my ideal weapon during
Totally related to social media.
Yeah, totally. Ideal weapon during a zombie apocalypse. I go for like a machete or an axe or something.
See, I like that. See, a lot of people would go for like the shotgun, but the thing jams, they get in close. You need something to get in close. Yeah. I watched too much Walking Dead. So yeah, so that is the correct answer. So acceptable answers would have also been samurai sword,
yes,
a bat with nails on it, or
right.
even chainsaw. But
that's right. I think there's some art involved with using the machete, so I would enjoy that.
Definitely, killing zombies is a lot more art than science. I love it.
That's right.
So, all right, last one of the ESI 5. So according to Nordpass, out of the worst passwords, which of these two were the most used in 2020? A, 1, 2. Now you got to pick two. The two most used worst passwords that were used in 2020. Mm-hmm. A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mm-hmm. B, this is a good password. C, why are you doing this? That's a real password. D, Skeeter McGillicuddy's Treasure Map 56. Nice. And E, password.
Probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and password.
That's right. That is the right answer. I knew that. I was just lobbing up a softball there. Well, with that, thank you so much, Debbie. You just watched the ESI 5 with Debbie Reynolds. This is Matt with ESI Survival Guide telling you to please stay safe in the electronic wilderness. See you next time.